The auditorium was packed. Folding chairs scraped against linoleum floors, and the sound system crackled every time the mic was touched. On stage, a banner read, "Resilience Awards, honoring those who inspire us most." Emily hadn't planned to attend. She hadn't stepped foot in her old high school since graduation, and she certainly hadn't expected to be back in town long enough for this annual charity event. But her best friend Morgan, still a teacher there, had insisted she come. "It's not about the school," Morgan had said. "Just, you should see this." So Emily sat in the back row, hoodie up, hands clenched. She didn't recognize many faces anymore. Life had moved on without her. She liked it that way. Then the MC tapped the mic. "Our next honoree," she said, "is someone whose strength in the face of unimaginable pain has moved our entire community. Her story is one of courage, faith, and survival." Emily wasn't really listening until the name hit her ears. Tessa Carter. Emily's heart skipped. Her sister. People clapped. The spotlight shifted. And there she was, Tessa, walking slowly onto the stage in a pale pink headscarf, her smile trembling, arms slightly out like she wasn't sure how to accept the applause. Emily froze. She hadn't seen Tessa in nearly a year. They'd texted here and there. A meme, a birthday message, no mention of anything like this. The MC hugged Tessa, then stepped aside. Tessa adjusted the microphone. "When I was 17, she began, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. The doctors didn't think I'd live past 19, but I did, and I was in remission for almost a decade until last fall." Gasps from the crowd. Emily felt her fingers go numb. Tessa's voice wavered but didn't break. It came back, this time harder. "The chemo was brutal. My hair fell out again. I couldn't walk some days, but through it all I kept thinking about my sister. She fought through it when we were young. She showed me what strength looked like, and now I carry her spirit with me." People stood, applauded, some were crying. Emily wanted to scream. She had fought lymphoma. Yes, at 15, it nearly killed her, and she had kept the experience locked away, too raw to revisit, too traumatic to share. She had told almost no one outside her immediate family. Tessa was just a kid then, 5 years younger. She hadn't understood the horror of it. The vomiting, the hair loss, the fear. And now she was repackaging it. Emily stormed out before the applause finished. Outside, the autumn air was sharp and thin. She could still hear the crowd roaring inside. A standing ovation for a lie. She didn't even text Morgan, she just drove. Back at the house she was renting for the month, Emily collapsed onto the couch. She opened her laptop and typed Tessa Carter cancer into Google. Articles, Instagram reels, a GoFundMe with over $17,000 raised. One photo showed Tessa smiling weakly in a hospital gown with an IV in her arm. But the arm looked wrong, like it had been copied and blurred. Emily scrolled faster. Another photo, same setting, same wristband she remembered from her own treatment. The date on the label, 8 years ago. Emily ran to her closet, dug through a plastic bin where she kept her old journals, photos, and a few printouts from her hospital stay. She found it, her discharge summary. The barcode matched. She grabbed her phone. "Emily, what the hell are you doing?" No reply. "Emily." "Tessa, I saw the video, I saw the pictures. You're using my medical files. Why?" 3 dots, then nothing. Then, "Tessa, it's complicated." Emily stared at that sentence like it was a brick to the chest. "Emily, you told people you're dying." "Tessa, I never said dying, I said relapsing. And I didn't tell them it was your file, it just helped." Emily couldn't breathe. Emily, you're faking cancer. Tessa, no, I'm just continuing the story. You never told yours. I thought maybe people needed to hear it, and it made sense if it came from me. Emily dropped the phone. She was shaking. This wasn't just manipulation, it was theft of something sacred, her own suffering gutted and served back to strangers for applause. And worse, it was working. Emily didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Tessa on stage. The scarf, the voice, the stolen pain wrapped up in applause. She spent the early morning writing a message, not another text, a full email, calm, detailed, clinical. Tessa, I know exactly what you did. The hospital wristband, the discharge codes, even the IV line, it's mine. My photos, my story. You used it without asking, and you lied to everyone who believed in you. This isn't jealousy, this is betrayal. She didn't hit send. Instead, she drove. The Carters lived in a modest suburban house with perfect lawn lines and wind chimes that never stopped tinkling. Her mother answered the door in a fuzzy robe, half awake. Emily, she blinked. Is everything okay? Emily walked past her. Tessa was at the kitchen table scrolling on her phone eating toast. When she saw her sister, she froze. Emily tossed a manila folder onto the table. Tessa stared at it. My medical records, Emily said, the ones you've been passing off as your own. Tessa's eyes darted to their mother, then back. You're overreacting. Emily laughed. It was bitter. You used my diagnosis, my treatment photos, my chemo dates. You even posted the scan of my lymph node biopsy. Did you think I wouldn't recognize my own chart? It was just for inspiration. Inspiration, Emily snapped. You faked cancer, Tessa. Tessa's lips trembled, but she didn't cry. It got out of hand, she whispered. People started asking questions. I didn't know how to stop it. So you doubled down, Emily said. Made a GoFundMe, gave speeches at schools, took money from strangers. I didn't take it, Tessa said quickly. It goes to the foundation. You are the foundation. Their mom stepped in. Girls, let's not do this. Emily turned. You knew. Her mother's face paled. You knew she wasn't sick. I didn't want to believe it, she said weakly. But when she showed me the hospital papers, I thought maybe she was just scared. They had my name on them, Emily said. She photoshopped them. Tessa looked away. Emily stared between them. And you let her go on stage. Let her say my words, my pain. I wanted her to feel seen, their mom said quietly. She's always lived in your shadow. Emily was stunned. My shadow, I almost died, and you think that was me stealing attention? Tessa stood. You never told anyone you buried it. You refused to talk about it, so I told it for you. Emily stepped back. You didn't tell my story, she said. You hijacked it, and you made yourself the hero. There was a long silence. Wind chimes danced mockingly outside. I'm going to tell the truth, Emily said, one way or another. She left. Later that day, Emily tried to speak to the school. She called the principal's office, asked to set the record straight. I'm sorry, the secretary said politely. We're not able to engage in private disputes. It's not private, Emily said. It's fraud. But no one wanted the mess. She went online. Comment sections on the video praised Tessa's strength. Words like inspirational and warrior repeated endlessly. Emily typed a comment under one post. She's not the one who went through it. I did. It was deleted within an hour. She posted screenshots on her own feed, the wristband, the biopsy date, her own journal entry from that time. A small group of followers asked questions. Others called her bitter. One DM stood out. You should be ashamed of trying to discredit someone just because they're getting attention. Not everything's about you. Emily shut her phone off. The lie had grown legs. Now it was running laps around the truth. 2 days later, her father called. "Can we talk?" They met at a diner, neutral ground. Emily explained everything, again. Her father stirred his coffee silently. "I believe you," he said finally, "but I also believe she's not well. She's manipulative. She's hurting. So am I." "I know." Emily looked out the window. "I wanted to forget all of it, but now it's everywhere." "You still can," he said. "Let it go. Let her have this." Emily turned sharply. "Let her have what? My trauma, my scars." He looked tired. "This family's been broken a long time. I just don't want it to tear even more." Emily nodded. "Then you should talk to your other daughter." And she left him with the check. That night, she sat at her desk, opened a blank blog post, typed, "There's a version of me being told right now. It's not mine, but it uses my skin, my pain, my blood work. And I need you to know I'm still here. I never gave permission for my ghost to walk that stage." She paused, then kept writing. Emily didn't expect much when she posted the blog. She certainly didn't expect it to spread. But overnight, her phone exploded. Her inbox flooded. Screenshots of her post ricocheted across Reddit threads, Twitter arguments, and Facebook groups. The original piece had a simple title: "She told my story, but she never lived it." It wasn't angry. It wasn't cruel. It was quiet and clear, describing what it felt like to have your trauma taken, dressed up, and sold to strangers. And people listened. Sort of. The reaction split fast. Some people praised her bravery. She's reclaiming her own pain. This is why stories need consent. Others not so kind. She's jealous of her sister, probably lying to ruin someone who finally got attention. A few verified accounts shared it. A former cancer survivor turned influencer stitched it into a TikTok. This is why I always say inspiration porn is dangerous. If someone's profiting from pain, ask who wrote the script. That hit hard. By the end of the week, the GoFundMe was frozen for investigation. Tessa went silent online. Emily received a message request from a girl named Lexi who said she'd gone to school with Tessa. She used to practice those speeches in the bathroom mirror last year, even cried in front of the stall. At first we thought she was just dramatic. Now it feels weird. Emily didn't respond, but she saved the message. The phone rang. It was her mom. "I need to see you," she said, face to face. They met at a park, neutral territory again. Her mom looked worn down, less put together than usual. She held a brown paper bag with 2 sandwiches, turkey and Swiss, Emily's favorite. "I just wanted to talk," she said. Emily sat but kept her arms folded. "I read the post her mom began and the comments and everything else. Then you know I wasn't lying." "I know that now." There was a long pause. Wind rustled the trees. "I think I was just tired of watching you suffer," her mother said softly. "You never talked about the cancer, never let us comfort you." "I think when Tessa told your story, I wanted to believe it could mean something, like it was worth something." Emily stared ahead. It was always worth something, even if it was silent. Her mother nodded. "I'm sorry." Emily didn't answer. "She's not okay," her mom added. "She hasn't been for a while." Emily shook her head. "That doesn't excuse it." "I'm not asking you to excuse it, just to understand it." Emily looked at her mother's face. For once, it wasn't full of performance, just fatigue, real human regret. "I'm not ready to forgive her," Emily said, "but I'm done hiding." Her mom nodded. "Fair." The next day, a local news outlet picked up the story. Not the lie, the truth. They titled it carefully, "Sisters Caught in Storytelling Controversy After Fundraising Campaign Raises Questions." It wasn't perfect. It framed the situation like a he said, she said, but it mentioned Emily's records. It cited a statement from the hospital confirming that the medical ID used in several images did in fact belong to a patient named Emily Carter 8 years ago. Tessa was now under investigation by the platform hosting the fundraiser. Emily got a call from a local reporter. "Would you like to go on the records?" She paused, then said yes. She told her story again, this time aloud. Not just about the lie, but about the real nights in the hospital, the fear, the isolation, how she almost died, how she chose silence afterward because it felt like the only safe thing, and how silence too can be stolen. That evening, a private account posted a message on Instagram. It was Tessa. "I want to say I'm sorry, especially to my sister. I never intended to hurt her. I was confused. I felt invisible. And when I told her story, it felt like I could finally be seen. But I realize now that I took something that wasn't mine. And I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it anyway." The comments were brutal. Some called her manipulative. Others accused her of weaponizing apology for sympathy. Emily didn't comment. She just closed the app. That night, she got a letter in the mail. Real paper, handwritten, Tessa's script loopy and childish like it never grew up. "You probably hate me. I don't blame you. I didn't know how to be the other sister. Everyone always asked about you. You were the strong one, the sick one, the miracle. I was just there. So I told your story because I didn't think anyone would ever care about mine. That was wrong. I know that now. I'm leaving town for a while. I'm not trying to escape. I just need space to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be you. I hope one day we can talk again, without microphones or charity banners, just sisters." Tessa. Emily folded the letter carefully, didn't tear it, didn't throw it away, just placed it inside the back of her journal, with everything else that still hurt but no longer controlled her. It had been 3 weeks since the letter arrived. 3 weeks of silence. Emily didn't reply. She didn't know how. Every time she picked up a pen, her hand froze halfway through the first word. What do you write to someone who turned your life into theater? But she didn't throw the letter away either. It sat in her drawer next to her old medical bracelets and the journal she'd started during chemo. She hadn't read that journal in years. When she finally cracked it open again, the pages smelled like old paper and lemon-scented disinfectant. Her handwriting had changed, her voice hadn't. One entry stood out. "I don't want people to remember me as the girl who was sick. I want to disappear and be normal." She closed the book and called Tessa. They met at a coffee shop just off the highway, neutral, public, and personal. Tessa arrived first. She looked smaller, not physically, just smaller. No makeup, no scarf, just a hoodie and jeans and hands that fidgeted with a paper napkin. Emily sat down opposite her. Neither spoke right away. "I wasn't sure you'd come," Tessa said finally. "I almost didn't." A pause. "Thanks for the letter," Emily added. "I didn't know if it was really from you." Tessa gave a weak smile. "I wrote it. No AI, no ghostwriter." Emily almost smiled too, almost. So Emily said, "What now?" Tessa swallowed. "I'm not here to fix everything. I know I can't. I wanted to see you. Without cameras. Without people looking at me like I'm brave. Or like I'm disgusting." Emily nodded slowly. "You were neither of those things." Tessa looked down. "I thought if I took something meaningful, your story, it would make me meaningful too." "You were already meaningful," Emily said quietly. "You were just too busy trying to be me to realize it." They sat with that. The barista called out a drink order no one picked up. I hated being the forgotten one, Tessa whispered. After your cancer, everything changed. You stopped talking. Everyone treated you like glass. But me, I just became the background. You could have just told me that Emily said. I didn't know how. That's the thing, Emily said. You always find the loudest way to say the quietest things. Tessa flinched. Fair. Emily sighed. Do you regret it? All of it, Tessa said, but not the feeling of being seen. That part, I miss. Emily nodded. That's what made it work. You weren't lying with your face. You believed it. You wanted it. Tessa's voice cracked. I didn't expect people to care, not like that. When they cried during my speech, when they hugged me after I felt like someone worth crying over. Emily's throat tightened. You always were. The moment hung between them. Then Emily leaned forward. I'm not here to forgive you, she said. Not yet, maybe not ever. Tessa didn't interrupt. But I'm also not here to punish you, Emily added. I think the world's done enough of that already. Tessa's eyes welled up. I just want to move forward, Emily said, without pretending, without stealing, just forward. Tessa nodded. Same. They sat in silence for a while longer. The clatter of cups, the hiss of steam, the quiet hum of a shop where no one knew them. When Emily got up to leave, Tessa stood too. They didn't hug, but as Emily walked toward the door, Tessa said, Hey. Emily turned. I still think you're the bravest person I know. Emily paused. That's because you don't know what being brave costs. Then she walked out. That night, Emily opened her blog. No more stories about Tessa, no more commentary on the scandal. Instead, she wrote something new. I don't own pain, no one does, but I own mine. And telling it out loud doesn't make me bitter, it makes me whole. Some people lie to survive, others lie to be loved. But sometimes the truth is the only gift we can give, even if it's ugly, especially then. This isn't a forgiveness story, it's a clarity story, and that's enough. She hit publish, closed her laptop, and let the quiet be enough. 6 months passed. The world moved on just like it always did. Another viral scandal came, and then another. Emily stopped keeping track of how long it had been since her name appeared in a trending hashtag. That was fine with her. She didn't need the attention she never had. She just wanted her story back. And she had it now. Not the version wrapped in drama or tragedy. Not the performative, tear-stained version Tessa once delivered from a stage, the real version. Quiet, complicated, alive. Emily started volunteering at the pediatric oncology wing of the city hospital. At first she thought it would be too much, too close, too raw. But the first time a little boy with a shaved head asked if she used to be sick too, and smiled when she said yes, something settled inside her. She wasn't there to inspire anyone. She was there to sit beside the beds of people who didn't need metaphors, just company. Some days they played Uno, other days they didn't talk at all. Both were enough. Tessa, for her part, had kept her word. She left town, enrolled in a writing program in Oregon. Emily only knew because their mom forwarded a photo Tessa in a hoodie, holding a copy of Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking. I'm learning how to tell stories without stealing them, Tessa had written under the photo. Emily hadn't replied, but she'd smiled. They didn't speak often. A few texts, a birthday message, but the silence between them no longer burned. It rested. Sometimes healing wasn't about reunion, just recognition. Emily wrote more, not for clicks or catharsis, but because she had something to say and didn't want anyone else to say it for her ever again. Her essays weren't flashy, but they were honest. And slowly people found them. Readers who didn't know her past, who didn't come for the scandal, who stayed because something in her words made them feel seen. One essay in particular, titled, "My Story Isn't Inspiring and That's Okay," was reprinted in a literary magazine. A professor from a university invited her to speak to students about narrative ethics. "You're the woman with the sister," one asked after class. "I'm the woman with the words," Emily replied. On the one-year anniversary of the fundraiser scandal, Emily got an email from GoFundMe. Funds have been officially reallocated to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society per donor requests and policy terms. Case closed. Emily closed the message and let out a slow breath. Later that day, she walked to the same park bench where she and her mother had once met. She brought 2 sandwiches, turkey and Swiss. She ate alone and for once didn't feel lonely. At home, her desk was clean. Her journal sat open pen resting on the margin. She flipped back to the page with the old entry, "I want to disappear and be normal." She wrote underneath it, "I didn't disappear, I survived and I'm not normal, but I'm real." Then she closed the book, turned off the light, and slept. Deeply,